Hello viewers, Super GT here. So welcome back to some more Group 1 racing. This time around Maggiore, which makes for a very interesting combination of car and circuit. A couple of weeks ago we had Dragon Trail Seaside, and I was using the Xbox livery car, which I go for once again. Hopefully this can inspire me to victory on the PlayStation. So you can see here, this is going to be a factor, an interesting factor of this race, and well, the two races I'm about to show you in this video, and that is the difference between the Porsche that I'm driving, the Porsche 919, and the Peugeot 908, which is the car we just went past at the start, or over the start line, and the car directly in front of us. So coming out of here, you can see the difference in low speed acceleration, low and mid speed acceleration. Because of course this car has the hybrid power which gets deployed out of the slower turns, but you'll see in just a moment the difference as well, you'll see the big difference between the two cars, the other difference should I say. So the low speed corners, coming out of those, the 919 has a massive advantage because of the hybrid power. But as we come onto the main straight here, or the longest straight on the circuit, you can see the Peugeot just goes absolutely full on speed. It's as if he's just turned on nitrous oxide and just comes flying back past. So it kind of makes for an interesting dynamic in this race, as I've got the acceleration as have all the other 919s, but then of course the Peugeot just can come straight back at us on the straights. So it's really a tale of two different cars from two different eras of LMP1 racing. It's the 919 much more modern, and the 908 about 10 years old I think, from the late 2000s. Please correct me if I'm wrong, which I may well be, I often am. So coming through the final turn in 6th place, and you can see here, coming through that medium speed turn, coming off of that corner, it's actually a fairly high speed corner actually, the final corner. The Peugeot doesn't really lose out too much, just it's coming out of these slower corners here, as I almost sideswipe, almost murder the Peugeot there, and just about recover the position. So let's see if I can gain on him coming up turn 4. This one, plenty of track limits on the way in and on the way out to be used. And you see the acceleration as the driver behind has to serve a penalty. So I do catch up, not quite enough though to go for a move into this corner here. And in many ways, it's not always the best thing to go for a move, as they're just going to come back straight back at you, coming up the straight at the back. So this is lap number 5, a couple of laps of just solid running. Now I was going into this race not having a clue at all about the overall strategy. So at the end of this lap, lap 5 of 9, I'm going to peel off to the left hand side and into the pit lane, coming down the hill then, hitting the apex of the final turn. We're going to peel over to the left, as does 2nd place. So in we go. I've got 11% more fuel than the guy ahead. So coming out we're going to underfuel a tiny amount and just come out ahead of the person who came in front of us. So we've actually technically gained a position there, although we now settle into 15th. So plenty of work to do, and it seems as though I've got my strategy all wrong. So I've basically employed a load of Ferrari strategists to mess up my race for me. Turns out that the no stop is the way to go, and I didn't really factor that in. But anyway, it makes for an interesting race now, as we have to fight our way through the no stopping traffic. So these guys all having to fuel save, all on older tyres. So now I'm going to certainly have some speed advantage as we come down the main straight for the end of lap number 6 on to the beginning of 7, up the inside of the Audi. Make short work of him. Can we go around the outside of this guy to get the inside for turn 2? Yes we can. That's up into 12th. Gaining positions. Now the Audi ahead with a penalty, and another Peugeot too. I'm going to slam up the inside, no messing around here. And on the exit of turn number 4, leaving space for the Audi, I think it's on the right hand side. It's gone very wide, and we're going to get the hybrid power deployed and up into 10th. So 4 positions there in pretty much 4 corners. So I couldn't really have got through that group much quicker than that. So I'm thankful for the opportunity there, guys. Thank you so much. Braking on the end of that curve, picking up nicely with the apex, going a little bit wide though, and then through the sweeping S's onto the back straight. So this is where the 919 isn't quite as strong as the cars ahead, of course. So it looks like two Peugeots up in front, and now having a bit of a gap to the Toyota. So it's actually a good mix of cars being used here. So we've got the Porsche, a couple of people in the Audi, a lot of people in the Peugeot, and then we've got Toyota behind us. So the four main players of this of the LMP1 class, and none of the weird concept cars being used here. Seems to all be the LMP1 cars. So you can see just how much I've gained on this lap compared to Tiger Hayes, who, again, just like the previous people we've overtaken, would be on the no-stop strategy. So having to fuel save, having to monitor and manage the tyres. Across the line then to begin lap number 8. 2 laps to go. Up the inside, not quite there, covers it off. But it's only delaying the inevitable, surely. Around the outside, and we get lag bombed out of nowhere by the Austrian. And just look at this, absolutely savage move. Just pushes him wide onto the barrier. My theory here is that this Austrian, he identifies as a snooker cue ball. So every now and then, anything that's green or blue or red, he has to smack into it and knock them out of the way. So, I mean, that's just my theory. Let me know if you agree or not. So, find ourselves in 10th. So, of course, losing a position to the Austrian, but gaining one over the stricken Frenchman, was it? It was a Frenchman, yes. So, gaining one, losing one, into 10th. But positions still to be gained. Just looking at the map, of course we have the two directly ahead of us, but then there's a battle of 3 more cars fighting for what would be 5th place. 5th place. Coming into Big Banky Boi and getting through there nicely. The car just really hooks up so nicely for that turn. Plenty of camber to really hook you around. Of course the LMP1 cars, plenty of downforce, plenty of grip. So the Toyota going for the inside line on the 919. I'm going to follow him through here. Hook up nicely with the apex, side by side with the 919. Again, gives me the inside for this second part of that long turn. And we go up into 9th. Just looking ahead then, we're going to. It looks like we're going to go through this group together, myself and the laggy Austrian. So onto the main straight. So we firmly set our sights on going through this group ahead as quickly as possible. Final lap, lap number 9 of 9. How many positions can we gain? 5th place is right ahead of us. So 5th place is possible. And coming out turn 2, getting on the power as nicely as possible. It looks like a mix of Toyotas and 919s. I think actually no, there is a Peugeot at the front of that pack who's going to be quick on that back straight. We don't know how much these guys are having to monitor their fuel as well. So fuel is right on the limit. I've only got 9%. I've actually got 0.7 laps of fuel remaining. As Quintin there, the Belgian, drifting wide. I think he might have been slightly helped into that. So gaining 1 position up the inside of the Toyota, not quite there. Is he going to go for it on the left hand? S's, yes he is, pushing the Germans slightly wide. I'm going to go through, following through. I'm tucking into the slipstream, looking for 6th place. Looks like the 5th place Dutchman there just scampered away. Looks like he might be safe, though we still have about a third of the lap remaining. It could still change. So couldn't quite go for the move there. Toyota, good top end. But you can see the acceleration here. The 919 really, really good, unbeatable almost in terms of acceleration with that hybrid power. Looking up the inside with 3 corners to go. We're going to get the move done and move up into 6th place. Is 5th on, or is it too far away? As we're also running out of fuel at this point here. The Toyota's going to come back at me. I'm going to cover him off. And I'm actually on 0% fuel. As we come around the final turn, the Toyota is going to sweep around the outside as I just ran out of fuel with about 200 metres left to go and hold on to 7th place with both hands and thankfully just keep it. So I don't think I could have kept 6th place there anyway, because even if I had fuel left, as it looked like the Toyota had the better run on the way through that final corner. Finishing 7th, 1,671 points, not a bad total. But we go again. So this is often the case with the FIA races. You do one, you learn from the first one. That obviously my strategy, and possibly the car choice was all wrong. Although the 919 is equally as good a car, I think, for this race. But we're going to go with the Peugeot instead. So we're going to go all French for this second version of the race around the beautiful Italian circuit. Let's see what we can do then. Starting 13th, and you see on the previous race, all of the Peugeots were really slow off the start, so covering off into turn 1 and keeping 13th place. Lots of Peugeots ahead. The car immediately ahead, the 919, but lots of blue Peugeot here. So it looks like a lot of people have made the switch over for this second race. Let's go through turn 4, and you can really absolutely maximise track limits on the way in through the apex and on the exit as well. And this is where I'm weak, this is where I'm vulnerable, coming out of that slow turn, coming down the hill then into turn number 5. We do have dibblr on the inside, you can go through, but you'll see in just a moment, as we saw in the previous race, just how much of an advantage this Peugeot has down the back straight, which we're about to get to in a moment as we try to get a good run through here. Looks like the German a little bit wide as we're going to go up the inside, leave the space, so we're going to go through comfortably back into our 13th place. And look at the speed difference here, it's not even a contest as I go flying past after engaging the nitrous oxide back into 12th. Look at that group ahead, there's about 8 cars nose to tail. So I'm looking at that group and licking my lips at the possibility of many people getting punted into the realm. It looks like they're actually racing fairly close but hard without actually murdering each other. None of them identifying as a snooker cube at this point here, so we're actually okay. Well, they're okay. I'd rather they did identify as snooker cube, and I'll quite happily take their positions. But the race has settled down as it normally does. It takes normally at least a third or half a lap to kind of settle down, people into single file, and then we can go about racing properly, although that's the idea. It doesn't always happen, let's face it. The German ahead, a couple of Germans ahead, one of them going very wide into turn 2, the hairpin, but just manages to keep the position into the left, yes he does, and then into the right of turn number 4, and just backing up slightly, and just on the exit, just running a little bit onto the curb, but we're fine. And once again, the 919 behind is going to go for the move, possibly, or at least look for the move, and it's not quite going to happen there, so we all kind of slot through there, single file, and keep our positions for the time being. Sweeping up the hill into the S's once again, looking for the curb on the right hand side, breaking the beginning of it, and just turning in a little bit too late. That is normally kind of your braking point into those S's. So not a good turn. Would normally be vulnerable from the car behind, but we know the Porsche behind doesn't quite have the speed on the straight, so don't really have to worry at this point here. So gaining probably about half a second on that straight compared to the Porsches, it really is a big difference. Then they just claw it back on all the slow speed exits. So a bit of a gap to the person behind at the moment. We're going to look for the move coming up the S's, the uphill S's, towards the final couple of corners, looking up the inside. Later on the brakes, up the inside, get the move done. Into 11th, we're going to switch our attention again to looking ahead and focusing on our next overtaking victim. So again, getting a little bit of a gap to the driver behind, don't have to worry too much about defending into this final corner. So that's the end of lap number 2, and it looks like it's gone rather well. This is a little bit further into the race, so halfway round lap number 3. So we've got a Porsche 919 directly ahead. I've opened up the gap to the driver behind over 1.5 seconds now. Look at the speed difference here with the draft as well. He goes defensive. I'll go a little bit onto lean setting 6 to save a bit of fuel. So of course this explains in this race the reason why I'm short shifting quite a lot, having to make it to the end, because of course in the first race everyone who did the no stop did the best. So it is a no stop race, you do have to save a lot of fuel. So there's a yellow flag, and I'm going to go past the... Oh, I've actually lost my mind. Is it Maltese or is it Bahraini? Or either or neither of those. The flag of the driver intent, I can't quite recall. But at the moment here, up behind Recon Knight, who peels off to the left hand side. So he's made the mistake of going for the pits, which is not the right strategy to do for this race. So we move up into 8th place, still in a close-knit fight with the guys ahead. So it's actually spread out a little bit. You can see there 5th, 6th, 7th, and then actually 4th ahead. Just maybe a little bit, or half a second to a second between each car. Coming out of here, you see I just grazed 2 wheels onto that tiny bit of grass, almost go into the orange barrier as well. So I was close to death, very, very close to death. Having to cover the inside here against the 919 and just keeping the position. So really close, and I just dipped 2 wheels on the grass. So if you want to go beyond that grass or onto the curb only, I did exactly the wrong thing by going onto the tiny bit of grass, and it kind of spun me round. So that is a little bit of a danger there on the exit turn 4. This is lap number 6 now, overtaken by the 919 once again. I think it's the Bahrain flag, isn't it? As we come through onto the back straight once again, you see the difference in speed is absolutely ridiculous between the two of us. So back into 7th, so it really just slingshots between us, depending on where we are on the track. If we're going out the slow turns, he's going to go through. If we're going onto the straight, then I'll go through. So just monitoring the fuel there. It was 3.1 laps remaining with about 3.2 laps remaining, so we are still very close on fuel and having to switch up into a leaner setting just temporarily. The battle for 5th is raging here though, as we come up the hill for the 7th time. We possibly go up the inside like we did earlier in the race, so we'll sweep over to the right hand side and go late on the brakes, up the inside we go, and we claim our 6th place, which is the standard of a Super GT video. Now, am I going to finish here, or could we go one better and go for 5th? So sweeping into the final turn, hooking up nicely with the apex. We're going to tuck into that slipstream as we go on to the main straight to begin lap number 8, the penultimate lap of the race. Just 2 to go. It's getting rather difficult now because, of course, we haven't gone in for that pit stop. The tyre's really beginning to wear out significantly, so you really are dancing on ice on these final laps of the race. So just settling in behind, no real opportunities at the moment. So we're just going to kind of tuck in and wait, and it might be an idea just to tuck in and wait. Also potentially for him to make a mistake as he almost did there, but also just to fuel save a tiny bit in the slipstream. So by the end of lap 8, it drifts a little bit wide, and this is the beginning of the final lap of the race. What's it going to be? Is it going to be a 5th? Or is it going to be a 6th, or is it going to be a 7th? We could still drop a position as we still have the close attention of the 919 directly behind us, who is waiting to pick up the pieces should anything happen. So slow through there, really nursing the tyres by this point in the race, as we had pretty much 0 grip. Into the right of turn 4, again just really, really slow, cumbersome as we go through that corner. And again, the 919, I'm going to cover him off as he goes side defensive, but also trying to look for the move. Up the inside, but it doesn't quite materialise, as now the 919 goes up the inside and reclaims, or claims 6th place away from me. So down to 7th, still with actually some drivers directly behind. It could go either way, it could gain 2, could lose 2. A bit of argy-bargy between 2 of them as they go through the S's. 919 up into 5th, good lap for him, but we're going to both come straight back at him here, down the back straight. So 919 goes immediately to the right hand side to go defensive. Looking at the radar, we were at one point there 3 abreast. I'm up into 5th place with a third of a lap to go. This is the last part of the race. Am I going to be able to keep the position, or will I get overtaken? As the 919 comes back up the hill, looking to retake the 5th position which he had just a moment ago. Coming through the second part of the S's, there was a bit of space left. Obviously not enough though. Drifting slightly wide into the wall, we continue. He's on the right hand side, going to cut him back and retake the 5th place. Amazing racing this, and I'm going to reclaim 5th with just 1 corner to go, but just monitoring the fuel. I'm on 0% once again. Am I going to misjudge this like I did in the previous race? I'm coming through the final corner down into lean setting 4, but it isn't enough as I've run out of fuel as we go under the shadow just before the finish line, and coming up to the line I'm going to lose 3 positions. Absolute disaster. So I've just misjudged it, and to my peril I've lost 3 positions before the line, and we can see a replay of that here. Look at how close it was. Even if I had just saved, I don't know, half a second more, I might have kept that 5th place. But it was 4 tenths between the 4 of us as we finished that race. Amazing stuff, amazing finish. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always guys, let me know your thoughts and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.